Hello, soul sister. I'm excited to have another opportunity to be with you and to support you in midlife love. Woohoo! And I have Kimberly Cabot in the house. Hey, Kimberly, so good to have you here.
Good to be here. Looking forward to it.
Oh my God, I'm excited to share you and your wisdom. I also know that you're online dating yourself and working it and have the chops for it. So I'm so excited for this conversation. Kimberly and I met recently and I was like, oh yeah, let's get this powerhouse on the show. So I'm excited. So get your notebooks out, sister. I'm sure you're going to get a lot out of it. Because Kimberly, since 2012, has been using the Handel method. She'll tell you about that in a few minutes, to transform her life and the lives of her clients around the world. Fresh out of a divorce, she used the method to evolve a damaged relationship with her ex-husband into one of friendship, open communication, support, and mutual respect. Who doesn't want that? Mm-hmm. And as a result of the work Kimberly has done on herself, her relationship with her two young adult children, as well as her aging parents, are extraordinary, based on a foundation of open communication and vulnerability. Exactly. That's what it's about. Yeah. And she's also evolved her relationship with money from abusive to abundant. Yeah, sister, you are rocking it. Good for you. All right, let's just dive right in. The Handel method. I don't know much about it. I would love for you to share a little bit about like what this is and who do you work with? And yeah, tell us more.
Yeah, so the Handel method was started almost 20 years ago now by Lauren Zander and her sister. They worked with MIT to develop the Handel method and to test it on real humans to like really see, can this make the difference that we're feeling and experience? Can we document it? So it's taught in schools. We use it in corporations. We use it one-on-one. We have a whole curriculum called Inner You Love that's just specific to finding the one. And we start every one of these processes helping people articulate their dream. How do they want to feel? What do they want it to look like? Like, let's get specific. Because if we don't name it, if we don't say it out loud, it's not happening. You know, you need to set the GPS in order to get there. So that's what your dream does. It's the lighthouse through the dark of taking the steps of getting there can be hard. It's like, we know we want to be in a loving relationship, but I don't want to do online dating. So that's like one of the voices that we've identified that gets in the way is our brat. Like we're all bratty.
so that inner brat of I don't want to do it, or this isn't something I'm willing to do. Yeah.
And, so this is part of what the Handel method does. Like, okay, you've articulated your dream. Now, what gets between you and having your dream? And so often we know the steps we need to take. Like, here's my body dream. I know what I need to do, but I'm not doing it. And what gets in the way for most of us is in our head. Yeah. And so that's what the Handel method helps people do, is like really identify your excuses, your negative theories and beliefs, your traits. So we have character traits that we've inherited.
Yes. Isn't it wonderful that, our very generous parents and the culture, it's like, you know what, let me give you my shame. Here you go. Let me give you that belief that you're not good enough. Here you go.
Yeah. You're a perfectionist. Mm-hmm. And and that perfectionist shows up on a date, you're going to be pretending, which we call your PR agent shows up on the date. It's not even really you. And like, how's that PR agent going to do in the relationship? How long does that last? Not very long. And so then, there's also hauntings that play into our roadblocks between us and our dream. Anything that's happened in your past. So we help people looking for the one, like, what are your love hauntings? What are some of the things? Those are real. That happened. But likely you took the wrong lesson away from it. So it's like, well, this happened with that guy. So in conclusion, I cannot trust men. And it's like, is that really what you want to be out to prove? Is that
And you know what you just said about proving, because that's what happens. We have this belief, then we put those glasses on and we start looking for it and going, see, I'm right. See, I'm right. There's another one that I can't trust. There's another one I can't trust. And we call it in, and it's just, it's so painful. And then we go, see, I really can't find the person that I desire.
That's right. So you can be right, or you can be happy.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that what you want to be able to prove? So like, if we go back into that haunting of like, so what really happened? So we unravel it with clients. A part of what we do with the Handel method is like unravel it. And maybe in conclusion, a lot of mine is in conclusion, she did not speak up. So it isn't so much in conclusion, I can't trust men. I really couldn't trust myself to speak up for myself. And so that's kind of heavy in the moment when you realize that, because, oh shit, it feels like my fault instead of men's fault. But the truth is now I can do something about it. It's actually empowering because I can make that change.
Yeah.
Then I put structures in place where I practice speaking up.
So good. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's like, just underline everything you just said. When we can really shine a light on our side of the street. I mean, yeah, maybe someone's behavior kind of sucked, but at the end of the day, what's the belief we took on? What was our reaction? What is our part? And when we can take responsibility for that and own it, then we have some choice. It's like, oh, I was feeling some insecurity around that. He said this and I felt like, like I fell to the ground emotionally. Well, I can say, well, he was a dick about it, but at the end of the day, what happened inside of me, and then to trace it. I love that you're shining a light on what's actually happening inside of people, because then people can do the healing work and do something differently moving forward. So powerful, beautiful.
Exactly. So once you've had those insights, like it's not enough in the Handel method to have the insight. It's like, now what are we going to do about it? So we want to actually take the actions. And so that then your coach ends up holding you accountable to those. So like, hey, what are you going to do about it? Like in therapy, we have the insight about, oh, this happened when I was a child. Okay, in coaching now, what are we going to do about it? Take the actions, because our thoughts create our feelings, create our actions, and then our results. So if you're not happy with your results, we got to go back. But those actions, they're important, but they're just not enough. Like if I say the action is I'm gonna spend 30 minutes a day on the dating apps, but I'm there looking for I can't trust men, then it's not really gonna get me the results I want. So I gotta check my thoughts first. What am I really here to prove? And that's been so fun. Since I moved to LA a year ago, I moved back to help my parents. My dad has dementia, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. I was 2 weeks empty nester. I had just moved my daughter to go to school and realized my parents needed my help. And I couldn't just go, good luck with your lives, I'm finally free. I knew that as part of who I want to be in love is somebody that's living to my highest ideals. That's who I want to attract.
Yes.
Oh, and I have on my list of criteria, like family's important. So then I need to act in accordance with that list. Who am I being? Who am I attracting? So I thought, all right, I'll move down there. I'll help my parents. And this is in service of my love life.
Let's pause there for a second, because that was huge. By acting and living in integrity with what is important to you and your values, you will attract that with someone else. If you're out of alignment and you go, all right, you're on your own, and family is important to you, what are you saying? How are you being with the very thing that you want to call in? And by choosing to first of all, know what your values are, have clarity around that, have your GPS knowing who you want to call in, and then living in that vibration. That's the key to calling in somebody differently. And if you don't have that in place, you're shit out of luck, because you're going to be having those glasses and you're going to be out of integrity, and you're going to be like, why do I keep attracting these people that don't see family as important? Right. Oh, wait a second, maybe I'm not acting in that way as well. So it's so important to stay in alignment and have that clarity. I love that you brought that in here.
Yeah, and it was a tough choice because it wasn't really what I wanted to do.
I bet. It's like, whoa, freedom, shit.
But I thought, okay, I know that this chapter is temporary.
Yeah.
And this is healing work. This is hard work.
Yeah.
This is going to lead to the love of my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any healing we can do with those primary relationships is going to be in service of our intimate relationships. So I moved back home into my parents' home, into my old room.
Wow, with the Barbie dolls. Wow. So big shifts.
Yeah. I was afraid like this was going to turn off a potential mate. Because then I'm like, okay, now I'm in LA. I'm in a much bigger pool for dating compared to where I was in Northern California. I was in a small town. And I was afraid that like, if I told people I'm living with my parents, like that's that joke, he's in his mom's basement, a lot of people on dating apps, the guy will say, I got my own place, not living at home. And I'm like, but I just own it in a way.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's of service and beauty and heart. And I love about the healing part. I know people that have moved back with their parents, and it was the most beautiful, uplifting, healing opportunity to be in that environment. Okay. So you just said, I'm in LA, big pool, the whole dating thing.
That's right.
How is it going? What's happening with you with the online dating experience?
Well, it's really, I'm here to prove. I decided my theory would be dating is fun. And so I'm out to prove that. And I'm right.
Agreed. I'm out there too right now. Yep. I'm like, I find myself laughing often, kind of going, that's interesting. The curiosity and just also having some great connections. Anyway, continue on. I want to hear your story.
Well, so I got really clear. All right, I'm here to prove that dating is fun, but I'm also looking for the one. So I'm not just looking for fun. So I'm having fun on my journey to the one. And I got really clear on my list of criteria. So the way that we do it, the Handel Group, is we call it the 3 H's. So you get clear on your head, your heart, and your hoo-ha. So for the head area, you want to get really clear on the criteria that, like, how would somebody look on paper? So age, distance, job, do they want to get married? Do they want to have kids? All those criteria that we're usually pretty good at knowing, like that's my head stuff. And that one's been good for me because I've gotten tested on it, and you will, it's like, I'm 50. So I'm looking for somebody from 45 to 55. This guy put on his dating app, he was 53. I went to go meet him and I really liked him. It turned out he was actually 57. And so now we're outside of my criteria, my head list. So you have to really check with yourself, like, is it okay? Is this a hard, fast rule for me? Is this something I can settle on? And why, why was that on my list?
Great. So it happens often where people say, I'm 6 feet, and they walk in and they're 5'7", or they say I'm 52 or 53. And as you said, he was 57, outside of your criteria. How did you handle that? I'm curious.
So what I said to him was, 55 is my upper limit. 2 years beyond that isn't so bad. The reason that's important to me is fitness is really important to me. So I want somebody that's going to be able to join me on my adventures. And you look like somebody that takes really good care of yourself. So it looks like you'd be able to join me. What do you think?
Nice. I love that. That's so great. I love that you threw the ball back into his court.
Yeah. And he was like, oh, I did this testing. They said my metabolic age is actually 35.
Woohoo, that sounds fun. Bring that baby home.
Take really great care of myself. And it was like, okay, well, let me go through the rest of my criteria. So that's my head area. Here's my heart area. Here's what's really important to me here. And he really shined in the heart area. And what I'm looking for there is vulnerability, communication, a high EQ, our dreams align. So like, what do you want to do with your life? And I could get behind his mission. Like, what is he here for in this life? That matters to me. How does he treat family, children, animals, all the things in the heart area? And then the hoo-ha, am I attracted? Like when I see him from a distance, I'm like, yes, that's my man. Do I want to make out with him?
Yeah.
And, for me, I'm 5'9", so somebody taller than me is important. And somebody that's into fitness, like I mentioned, somebody that's in shape is important to me. So I have my hoo-ha criteria, and he was pretty good there. Ideally, what you want to do is go through each area and rate them from 1 to 10. And so in the head area, ideally we want them to be at an 8 or above in all 3 areas. And what we've done in the past is like a cumulative score. Well, he sucks over here, but he's good over there.
So we'll just look over there.
So what we're doing is like, no, break it apart. They actually need to have 8 or above in all 3 areas to be the one. He, it was like, okay, I see he's not quite an 8 in the head area because of the age. So he's a 7 there. He's like a 10 in the heart area. The hoo-ha was good, but a 7. So we date. So it's like, okay, he gets a second date. That's a good enough rating system to get him a second date. So we went on a few more dates. And then I realized I didn't like his voice. Impacted the hoo-ha.
It's so true. It's so crazy, but it's so true. And these things matter. These things matter. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Those were some great tips. Yeah. I want to also go into like some of the things that have impacted you that you've had to overcome when it came to your own personal heart journey, some of your negative beliefs that you might have been carrying. How have you been dealing with that for yourself?
Yeah, my biggest one was my negative belief that when I love, I lose.
Yeah.
And I lose myself. And I have this huge fear of somebody taking my life away because I've allowed it to happen.
Yep.
Again, she didn't speak up.
A lot of women are going to relate to that. A lot of women have that fear of losing themselves because we have been taught a lot of give, and put yourself second, third, or fourth. And it's like, whoa, what happened to my life? So yeah. So what do you suggest when you hone in on, oh, I have this belief, I have this challenge? You could share your own journey about how to overcome, or just generalize it with how can people overcome some of these things that can go, oof, yeah, I have this fear right now, or this belief, and I'm struggling with it.
Yeah. So for me, what I've really needed to practice is boundaries and speaking up, and like, Oh, for me, it's really important that I have time to work out every day. So when I was dating this guy, he lived by the beach, and I would Friday night after work go there as quick as I could to beat traffic. And then I got there and I'd be like annoyed because he wanted to spend time with me. And it's like, I'm losing, I'm in that. And I told him, when I get here, is it okay that I walk down to the beach by myself and spend a half an hour
Ah,
breathing and
yeah.
sitting and recalibrating with myself, and then I come and engage with you and get to just love on you and be with you. And he was like, of course, thank you so much for asking for that.
Yeah. And you know what I love about that? And I share that with my clients as well. When you ask for something or you set a boundary around something,
Yeah,
see how they respond. Because
yeah,
if they're too pushy, or if they try to convince you to do something else, or they're not really able to allow what you're asking for to be valid,
yeah.
that is very telling. So I love that. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, and just this week, I met this guy online, and I was leading a workshop, a 4-hour workshop online, and he was texting, and I couldn't respond. I was busy, and by the time I saw it, he had turned into lashing out, and he was just like, maybe you're one of those valley girls that oversells herself and can't really follow through, and he got mean.
With his own beliefs, that, that's what was spilling out. He had some big beliefs and he was projecting it all on you. Oh my God.
Absolutely, I know. And so I said, hey, as much as I saw the possibility for us having a beautiful connection, I can see now that we're not in the same place in our lives. I don't have the bandwidth to fill what you need. And good luck out there. And he's like, I agree, and I'm disappointed, but I understand.
Cool.
And
Moving on.
moving on, because I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit, he was just about to prove that old theory for
Yeah.
me. And I
Yeah.
saw it, and I was like, oh, this is just not my one.
Yep. Moving on. Awesome. And so you want to make it more fun. You're like determined to make it more fun. You bump up against some of your beliefs, you're working
Yeah,
your boundaries.
yeah,
When things don't go well, how do you handle it? Like, what keeps you going?
yeah. Well, so what I do is I plan dates. I do a really good job vetting ahead of time. So I don't go on dates with people that aren't high quality. I make sure ahead of time I've had a phone call. I've really vetted said that this is a good person I'm willing to spend time with, but I make sure it's something I want to do. So I'm meeting somebody tonight for dinner, but it's right next to where the climbing gym is. And so I'm driving to the climbing gym first. I'm taking a yoga class there, and then I'm meeting him. He's somebody to have dinner with after.
Yeah. 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 Oh, how wonderful. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then if it's not the one, which is gonna happen more times than not, because
Because
everybody's
it happens.
I have a really graceful way of thanking them, and I don't see us being a match, but I really appreciated meeting you, and I had a good time with you, and good luck out there. And so I don't leave any room in there for a possible for them to argue with it, or it's like, it's clear, it's over, I appreciate you, thank you, bye. And it's now I have trust in myself that I can get in and out with ease. I've gotten
That's
way
big.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
That's
take
good.
care of both of us. I'm not
Yeah.
hurting them. I'm not afraid of hurting them, and I'm not self-sacrificing ever
Yeah.
again.
Sounds like a well-oiled machine. That's beautiful. We only have a few more minutes, but I really want to get to the one. Like, how do you know if you find the one? I hear the criteria. I
Yeah,
hear you're working your tools.
yeah.
How do you define that piece of when you know?
For me, it really is a feeling on multiple levels. So, it's got that physical attraction for sure. It's so important that I feel that spark, and that spark is rare. but I'm honing my intuition by checking in. How does this feel? Also for my heart. How does it feel being with this person? Do I like talking to them? And am I interested in them? Do I find them like a interesting person I want to dig into? Like it's a good book. And then do I like what I'm finding in the book? Are we easy together? I love when I feel that ease. And so I joined a bunch of meetup groups when I got down to LA. I'm going on all these hikes, meeting people. So I'm in a really good practice of meeting people and feeling the connection. And I'm not looking for a romantic connection on those hikes, but I am looking for a connection, a friend connection. So it's like I'm dating for friends too on the meetup groups. And I'm getting really good at knowing like, oh, he gets me. Oh, we just have an easy time. We want to talk. We want to plan our next hike together. So it's the same thing in dating. And then somebody who also I want to learn from.
Yeah, love it. Oh my God, that's so great. So
Yeah.
good. And you mentioned meetups.
Yeah.
I mean, I could just stay on that topic, but since you mentioned meetups, I want to go there. Are there men on these hiking, in these hiking groups?
Totally. And one in particular, we went on this beautiful hike. We were like on the same page. I was feeling the friendship. He asked me if I want to go to Yosemite and I did. And I was like, yes, let's go. And then he texted and said, I got a hotel room because it's, it's getting colder instead of camping. I was like, perfect. He said, did you want me to get 2 beds or 1? And I was like, uh-oh. I said 2 beds for sure. And so it was a hint that he would even consider we'd be in the same bed was a hint.
I'm surprised that he would consider you being in the same room, because I would think most people would want their own room. How did that move through you?
I was like, yeah, I mean, I'd like the idea of saving money and with a friend, we're sharing.
So you felt comfortable and you knew that was fine.
Yeah, this was like the 3rd or 4th time we had hiked together, and I did who he was as a good person. And then we went on a hike, and after a hike, I usually change so I'm not driving home in dirty, sweaty clothes, and I put on a sundress. And when I got home, he texted me and said, hey, I love the way your body looked in that dress. Huh. He didn't say I love the dress. He didn't say it on the 3-hour drive home. He waited till after and texted it to me. That's weird. I ignored it. He sent me another text the next day that said, I was traumatized by your body in that dress. So I called him. And because I knew, like, I have a trait. One of my character traits is loosey-goosey. She's afraid of those boundaries. She's afraid of confrontation and the hard conversations. So I knew I needed to do it. As part of my practice and who I want to be and who I want to attract. So I called him and I said, hey, those texts made me really uncomfortable. I see us as friends. We were in the car together. You never mentioned anything. That feels really inappropriate to me, those comments about my body, and I won't be able to I won't be going to Yosemite with you, and I'll join you on group hikes, but I think this is cross a line for me. And he apologized. He thanked me for being direct. He said, please trust me, I won't do anything like this going forward. I haven't heard from him since. It's been about a month, and that's fine. What that does for me is give me this hit of self-worth. I get to define how I want to be treated, who I spend time with, what I will tolerate. I'm not just going to settle. I'm not just going to be loosey-goosey and have these awkward, uncomfortable interactions with people. I'm going to be straight.
It's so beautiful. You're working those muscles. You know that it's a muscle that can be a little wishy-washy and loosey-goosey, and you're leaning in. I also want to underline that when we put things in texting, it's it can get a little wonky. It's so important to use texting for what it's meant to be, for playful, or hey, am I meeting you soon? You know, but not the you traumatized me, because then we like look at it, we obsess about it. As women, we're like, what does that mean? When we talk to all our girlfriends, it's like, he just wrote this. Well, I mean, I don't know what your process is, but I might have been like, what do I do with this one? And I love that you picked up the phone, because that's the best way to just gotta go straight into it. Own your truth and go, hey. And so I just want to honor the heck out of you for how you handle that so beautifully. So beautifully. Thank you. So I know you've got an awesome quiz to share with our tribe here. Is there anything else you wanted to share before you tell them about your quiz?
It really is just a practice. Nobody's good at this dating thing to begin with. It's really, we're all newbies at this. It's okay to just keep trying and learning and practicing and loving yourself through it. That it's not easy. And yet why would it be easy to find the one? Like, we really want this big dream. Like, whoever thought that any of our big dreams were going to be easy? It is going to take something. It takes a real focus and really putting time and energy into. If we want to share our life with someone special, it's going to take something to create that. So it's a practice. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's okay to learn as you go. We all are.
Yeah. That's so important. I love that you're sharing that, because people can really beat themselves up and go, I don't know what I'm doing. I suck at this. And then they throw in the towel, and it's like, wait, this is, I call it dating research. I'm like, this is great personal growth work, and we can have it be more fun and learn and grow and move forward, instead of just like, okay, this, throwing in the towel. So to have compassion for the journey, it is not a perfect straight line to the one. And we're dancing our way through and having support along the way. So love it. So tell us about your quiz.
Yeah, so the quiz will help you get clear on what are the areas, what are the things you need to upgrade to feel proud of where you're at, so you're attracting the one. So anything that's on my 3 H's list, I need to turn that on me. I want them to be good with money. Well, am I good with money? So this current reality quiz will be good for helping you see what are the areas where I'm not proud, where I'm not thriving, where I'm not effective, so that you can address those. So when you do show up on dates, you're more confident, more self-loving, more proud.
Oh my God, that sounds so great, because that's what you've been talking about. It's like, we need to know where we could be loosey-goosey, or what are some of those beliefs that we're projecting, and making this journey to find the one way more difficult, when we can really shift and heal. And that starts with knowing what this is about. So love the idea of your quiz. Totally encourage you, Soul Sister, to click it and do it, and let me know how it goes. This was so awesome. Thank you for spending some time with us today, Kimberly. Lots of golden nuggets, really good stuff. Thank you.
It's so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it was so great. And so, Soul Sister, continue to take precious care of that heart of yours. Keep leaning in, keep growing. If you got value out of this episode, you know the deal. If you haven't liked it, please like it. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube station or the podcast, subscribe. That's the way that the algorithms will let others know that there's value here. And of course, think of a soul sister that might need this message, so she doesn't throw in the towel and she can find her one. So until we meet again, mwah.